All right, so I got some thought-provoking video content that I want you to consider. I don't want anybody to have any preconceived notions. And I don't need none of you smart-ass coon conscious Negroes not getting this. I need you to get this. I need you to understand something. I need you to see, and I need you to employ your imagination. I need you to look around your community and see how you handle something, and I want you to consider this.
Hi there, everyone. I'm JJ Ramberg, and welcome to Your Business. What was once unthinkable has become a reality, and a very profitable one at that. The legal marijuana movement is gaining traction, with the editorial board of the New York Times recently advocating it nationwide. For entrepreneurs, the opportunity to cash in on a new and evolving industry is hard to resist, as states like Colorado and Washington normalize the market regulating marijuana, similar to alcohol. But for anyone interested in getting into the business, the stakes are high. This is no longer a world inhabited by stoners donning tie-dyes and taking bong hits. This is a very serious business that requires a lot of time, a lot of money, and smarts to succeed.
This business is pretty much an emerging market. It's high risk, high reward.
This is a story about change, changing laws, changing attitudes, and an ever-changing landscape for a brand new business in America, marijuana.
It's a very young industry, chock full of entrepreneurs from all over the country that want to build their lives and their careers and their businesses in marijuana.
We went to Colorado, the first state to legalize marijuana for recreational use, to see how entrepreneurs are faring in this brave new world.
It's a brand new industry emerging out of a black market scenario. So regulation helps streamline the system and puts all the pieces in place for us to maneuver through this very safely, and also allows the consumer to get a safe, sound product as well.
But the product is pot, and under federal law, selling, producing, possessing, and consuming marijuana is still a crime. That makes for a very complicated business model when you live under the constant threat of a federal crackdown.
The cannabis industry is the most challenging industry that I've ever been involved with. I describe it as crisis management by hour.
Trip Keever, CEO of Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, has a widely varied resume, including a stint in the Reagan administration. A big believer in a free market economy, he's a serial entrepreneur who's been called the Ronald Reagan of reefer.
I've been in this business now for 4 years, and it feels like dog years. This is not for individuals that are not willing to commit an incredible amount of time, money, and intellectual horsepower.
After spending some time in Colorado, we found the entrepreneurs in this business were nothing like the stereotypical counterculture hippies we see in the late-night punchlines.
Tonight, we'll be taking a look at the pros and cons of owning a pot store. A pro, getting a lot of repeat customers. Con, mostly because they forgot they were just in your store 5 minutes ago. I think I need some weed, man. You check your right pocket? Oh, yeah, thanks.
We visited the first ever Colorado Cannabis Summit in Denver and found a very professional group of entrepreneurs, many of whom were women, networking and coming together to talk seriously about cannabis.
We like to think of ourselves as marijuana mavens.
Brooke Gehring of Patient's Choice was working in commercial banking and real estate before taking that leap of faith and getting involved in the cannabis business in 2009.
There are a lot of educated people that had left their jobs in corporate America or left other business ventures that they had successes in because they saw or felt a sense of opportunity.
Meg Collins also saw an opportunity in pot. In her case, to help shape public policy. Before taking the job as the executive director of the Cannabis Business Alliance, she had spent most of her career in the oil and gas industry.
So I like to say I've gone from gas to grass. And I thought what a phenomenal opportunity to be on the ground floor building the legal and regulatory framework for a new industry.
And this is an industry that has a lot of rules, like the requirement to grow and sell your own cannabis instead of sourcing it from somewhere else. I met Jan Cole, a former Telluride spa owner and mother of two, who decided she wanted to take her experience in that industry and translate it to the emerging cannabis business. We met her at one of her 7 grow facilities outside of Boulder.
I hear this term seed to sale quite a bit. Can you explain to me what that means?
The state of Colorado would like us to track every plant from seed to sale. And so from every plant that we put into dirt to every plant that we harvest and turn into medicinal or recreational bud needs to be tracked.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with this industry, it sounds like. It is not just a matter of putting some seeds into the ground, growing it, and selling it.
Yeah.
We then followed her to the brick and mortar side of her business, called The Farm.
This is not what I expected, and this is not what a lot of other cannabis stores look like. I imagine that's very deliberate.
We have been referred to as the Whole Foods of cannabis, and because we appeal to I guess a customer that cares about what they're putting into their bodies.
So you're going after upscale moms, basically.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. People like us.
But the biggest issues that Jan and other company owners in the cannabis industry are facing now have to do with all the money coming into their businesses.
Banking is a huge issue for the industry nationwide. Because it is illegal at the federal level, banks are not comfortable in jeopardizing their federal insurance. We are treated like every other business except when it comes to financial matters, and then we're still treated as a criminal function.
With big issues like banking that still need to be sorted out, states like Colorado and Washington are taking the lead on setting policy, while other states and the federal government sit back and watch very closely to see how their implementation works.
I really think all eyes of the world are on our state, really focusing on how this is going to happen.
And as more and more states legalize pot in some way, shape, or form, it's clear that there is a major shift in attitudes happening in the U.S., with a recent poll showing 54% of Americans in favor of legalization. If the tide keeps moving in that direction, that means the marijuana market is going to increase exponentially.
Entrepreneurs from across the country are coming here. It is the Green Rush 2.0. This is Pikes Peak or Bust 21st century style.
Casey Stark has had several businesses related to cannabis in Colorado. He also teaches a sort of Cannabis 101 to people interested in learning more about the business, so they too can become ganjapreneurs, as he puts it.
Leasing, zoning, packaging, tracking, seed to sale. It is complicated, but we make it easy. You can come to Colorado, learn the rules, and change your future.
But as the legalization of pot comes online in more places, there are also serious concerns about new and potent strains of marijuana and the new breed of edibles that are highly concentrated.
What happened here on the 4th floor of this Denver hotel has both investigators and medical experts asking questions. The group decided to try marijuana cookies. The autopsy report lists Ponji's death as an accident.
In the past 5 months, the state of Colorado has dealt with 2 significant tragedies where it would appear that marijuana in some form was involved. I will say that Dixie was quick to stand in front of the camera and really get out in front of the issue and make sure consumers understand that these products have to be consumed in moderation.
With the industry still in its infancy, it's a future that is totally uncharted, speculative, and at the same time, potentially very lucrative, with one study predicting $1 billion a year industry by 2018.
I'm delusionally confident in this industry. I believe that there are going to be companies that will succeed and be able to potentially compete with big alcohol and potentially compete with big tobacco.
There is no end to what marijuana potentially can do for the American economy. What has it done for us in Colorado? Raised millions, created tens of thousands of jobs, almost literally overnight.
As you can see, it is not aging hippies or Cheech and Chong types who are becoming potpreneurs. It is sober-minded business people who want to cash in on this new cash crop. Let's get our board of directors to weigh in on this. Brendan Kennedy is the president and CEO of Privateer Holdings, a private equity firm that invests in the cannabis industry. He's also the president of Leafly, a company that helps consumers and patients learn about different cannabis strains and products. Ted Karkus is the chairman and CEO of Prophase Labs, and Jessica Eves Matthews is the founder and CEO of the Leverage Legal Group, an intellectual property and business law firm. It's so great to see all of you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, JJ.
Brendan, you are in the center of this right now, and when I was there, it's fascinating to see this unfold because the regulations are changing every single day, and so it's incredibly hard to be a business owner in this industry.
It is. The regulations in Colorado are changing on a daily, weekly basis. It's one of the things that they're doing really well there. They're constantly refining the regulations to keep tight control over the industry as it transforms from an area of prohibition to a legal market.
But as a business owner, it's so hard, right? So some of the people we talked to said, this was legal yesterday and it's not legal today. I have to change my logo. I have to move this. I have to change my packaging. And how do you even keep on top of everything that's happening?
Well, so we have an internal legal team and an external legal team. We have people who are focused on lobbying and staying in contact with the regulatory boards to ensure that everything that we do complies with local and federal regulations.
What do you say to people who want to jump into this industry?
Well, I mean, in some ways it's exciting, and I'm an entrepreneur as well as a lawyer, and so this is the ultimate entrepreneurial experiment, right? And entrepreneurs love to be nimble, and they love to have to react quickly, and so it's ripe for innovation, which is really exciting. But as you're saying, there are some real pitfalls just as a business owner. I mean, going into business with somebody is like a marriage, and you have to make sure that you are aligned in lots of different ways in order to have a good working relationship. So that's a huge one. And obviously negotiating, good business terms, buyout provisions, all of those types of things is critical to the success of any business like that. But as you're saying, it's all moving so quickly that a lot of these people aren't having time to consider the issues that they should be considering before they go into business together.
The whole thing is fascinating. Fascinating to see what's happening and again, how things are changing every single day and attitudes are changing.
So JJ, the way I look at it, there's a phenomenal opportunity going on here. It's the gold rush turned green. There are lots of regulations. It's going to be very difficult business, but that's also where the opportunity is because there aren't that many companies that are supplying the product. Demand is big, which means you're going to have great pricing power, which means big margins, lots of cash, lots of profits. That's why this is a business that everybody's now talking about. Everybody's rushing out there to get into it.
Brendan, it's still very, very young, right? This is a brand new industry. Have you seen already some breakouts who are going to be very successful and a bunch of people shut down already?
What we're seeing are the establishment of brands, and that'll be the big difference over the next 5 to 10 years, is that for the first time you'll see trusted professional brands in this industry.
And are you starting to see some breakouts already?
I think as you covered in your segment, Dixie is one that is really interesting in that they're talking about cannabis in a mainstream professional way, and that's really how Americans think about this product.
And that's what we saw.
54% of Americans believe it should be legal.
Yeah, that's what we saw.
It's a mainstream product.
Over and over again, that people are treating this as a business, right? Again, they're late night jokes about it, but this is a business, and the people that we're seeing are very successful are the ones who are working very closely with the regulators and talking to the lawmakers every single day.
Well, JJ, it's important to treat this as a sophisticated business, and if you're not a sophisticated business owner, but you happen to be fortunate enough to be in this business, you have to align yourself with business partners. That's the financiers. You may not be able to work with banks, but it doesn't mean you can't work with angel investors. You can't work with people like Brendan. After the show, I want to get in touch with Brendan, maybe invest with him.
Right. But that brings up some really interesting issues because it isn't clear-cut. We've got a conflict of laws between, the federal statutes and what's happening in the states right now. And so as a business owner, I mean, this is not for the faint of heart because because you don't know yet how the federal government's going to come out on this. I mean, the Controlled Substances Act is unequivocal as far as, this is a class 1 drug, which is interesting that it is. And that's not changing. We don't see that changing anytime soon.
And
maybe it will.
The banking issues. I mean, Brendan, you must hear about this the most. The banking issues are so incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
It's a cash business for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
It is. I've been in dispensaries. I've been in rooms that had $1 million of cash lying around. It's not a comfortable feeling.
No.
We don't violate any local, state, or federal laws. Yet we've been kicked out of 3 banks in the U.S. So everything in this industry is harder, whether it's banking or payroll or hiring a marketing and branding firm. Everything is more difficult.
But boy, might there be a big payoff at the end for people.
And Brendan made the point. He's sitting with $1 million of cash. That obviously came from profit, so it's not such a bad problem to have.
Right. Well, then there's security issues too. All right. Well, I mean, it is infinitely interesting to me to see how this industry grows. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat about it. Like this burgeoning marijuana industry, breweries around the country are
All right, people. You see what's on the table. Now, what I would add, historically, perspective. Right now, in every state in this country, they have a lotto. And people buy lotto tickets every day. Once upon a time, there used to be a small business in the black community, and they used to bet their little nickels and dimes and quarters on numbers, and it was ruled illegal. And to make a long story short, that's your lottery. This is your nickel bag business about to be taken over now, mainstreamed, corporatized, packaged, and branded, and handed back to you like they do everything else. Like they took your music, packaged it, and branded it, and handed it back to you. This is America, the marketplace. Remember? The market? The one they brought us to. Oh yeah. Ain't a damn thing changed. And this is your brother Larry.